So it seems that we've got a made-to-order Warhammer 40k terrain run coming soon, a limited miniature getting a re-release, and a whole bunch more hints, teasers and small reveals from Games Workshop. Let's do a roundup of 40k news. Hello and welcome back to Best Tactics, where today we're doing a quick roundup of 40k news things, looking at a whole bunch of things that I found interesting over the past week or so, that maybe weren't quite so big topics in their own right that they needed a video all to themselves. Plenty to talk about for this one as always. As mentioned, we've got a limited 40k miniature returning to sale after Christmas. The Corsair Void Reavers have departed the Games Workshop web store and not come back, unlike some other Kill Team sets. There's a made-to-order of Sector Mechanicus terrain coming after Christmas. There's the next Ultra Protest teaser and update video, maybe building towards a Christmas reveal potentially. This month's free in-store miniature of the month is quite a good one with a Deathwatch veteran. White Dwarf has some pretty cool starter set rules for playing past editions of 40k. Lionel Johnson is featuring in Dawn of War 4. There's a couple of slightly dubious balanced Dataslate rumours coming around, and Games Workshop have announced this week's pre-orders, which are pretty low-key. Seems that we're waiting a bit longer for the 500 worlds. There's lots to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Games Workshop have announced that a couple of limited edition miniatures are going back on sale for a bit. These guys were the event exclusive miniatures from 2024. The 40k one is the Hunter Strikes, basically a Kroot carnivore and a fairly fun pose, a good sense of motion and a bladed Kroot rifle all ready to strike. These really weren't all that easy to pick up given that they were exclusive to Games Workshop events, so only the specific things that they had some representation at, so if you wanted to buy one, odds are you probably couldn't, unless you happened to be going to one anyway, you knew someone who was, or you wanted to pay some eBay scalper prices. There's also the Age of Sigmar offering as well, a free city knight guy called the Steel Rook, who I do think has a pretty awesome miniature as well to be fair. And apparently these guys will be going back on sale in a couple of temporary waves. They'll be available in Warhammer stores on the 26th of December, and then they'll have an online release on the 10th of January from then. They're going to be while stocks last items, so when they run out they'll be gone for good. I'm not sure quite how much demand there'll be for the Hunter Strikes model. I think the posing of it is rather cool, and I guess could be a fun alternate Kroot character, maybe using him as a trail shaper or something if you wanted another pose. But on the other hand, you could certainly criticise it as being basically a standard Kroot carnivore that they'll be selling for many times the price of a single one, and it is going to be a miniature that's going to appeal to some people but absolutely not to others. I did find the concept of them basically resurrecting a limited edition miniature an interesting one in itself though. They have done this in the past from time to time, say the Primaris Company Champion. That was also an event exclusive miniature that then went on general sale for a little bit and then went away. Maybe that's just going to be the normal expected pattern of these event exclusive miniatures from now on. They're going to have them only available in Warhammer events for a year, and then sometime between 6 months to 12 months after that they go on general sale for a little bit, so people might be able to get them a little bit more widespread. If that does happen, then maybe it'll be the Genestealer Cult Magus that we see this time next year. But I guess as a result of this, there might just be a little bit less clamour to pick them up at actual Games Workshop event stands if they are eventually going to release individually in time. It seems that's not the only returning thing around the Christmas period though. We've got a set of Sector Mechanicus terrain coming back for a made-to-order run, this one apparently starting on Christmas Day. They're having a fairly long pre-order period for this one. Apparently you're going to be able to order it from Christmas Day all the way up to the 12th of January, and then their normal process after that is they aim to ship this out within 180 days of you placing the order. It does always feel a little bit odd that Games Workshop don't keep a bit more of their standard terrain sets as more common range items, and as a result I feel like there always tends to be a bit of interest when they bring back some kits from the past, and there are some fairly fun and well received pieces in these ones. From the Sector Mechanicus stuff we've got the Generatorium hub. That's really quite a big chunky bit of terrain. There's also a big bit called the Galvanic Magnavent with some walkways around a central chimney, and then some gantries that could have you connect one of those to another or just other areas of the board. For current 10th edition gameplay, it's not really the most practical terrain in the world, but is really quite cool on themes, and by the time that you receive this, there's a good chance that 11th edition is out and things might have changed around a bit. I wouldn't be too surprised if Games Workshop do something with the terrain rules, given the feedback and talking points about ruins in 10th. As well as those, they also have the return of the Tectonic Frag Drill. Really quite a fun piece to have on the tabletop, this one. It does have some Legends rules for the Genestealer Cult as well, though it doesn't exactly do very much. As well as those bigger bits, there's also some of the smaller pieces coming back from a bit. The Hemotrope reactors that were also available in the Imperium magazines. Some fun plasma generator style macroplasma batteries. I quite like the Galvanic servo haulers, basically 40k loading cranes and things, and then there's some other small bits with a Mechasite Minoris. Obviously we don't know the prices of these yet, and knowing Games Workshop terrain, they're probably going to be very expensive compared with just about anything else you could buy. I'm fairly sure I'll sell a fair number of these though. Let me know if you'd have any interest in these yourself down in the comments below. Before we move on, I'll give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor in ObjectiveMarkers.com, makers of some faction specific 40k battlefield accessories based in the UK, though shipped to many places around the world. Their main offering, unsurprisingly, are these objective markers. Pretty common things to have in 40k gameplay. You have a flat disc with a 40mm circle in the centre of it to represent the marker on the board, and then 3 inches around it you have a scoring zone. So if you use these as the markers, you can tell whether or not models are in range or an objective just at a glance. Their specific take on them have them made out of clear silicone so you can see the board that you're playing on through them. It doesn't detract from that too much, and they use the designs to add a bit of theming and faction specific flair. They've got quite a few of these ones, including a channel merch or spec style design. Any sales of that one help support the channel a little. They really do have quite a lot of other designs though. It's typically £32 or $42 for 6 of them, and they do have a whole bunch, ones for Chaos Greenskins and various other Xenos races, plenty of different flavours of Power Armoured Warriors on offer as well. They've got ones that could work for a few chapters, and some other new designs for their Space Elves and more. They've got a few other things, including some ruined terrain bases. If you want to check them out, they'll be linked down in the video description. Thanks to them for sponsoring this one. Next up, Games Workshop dropped the next one of their Ultra Protest teasers, the one where they supposedly had a mob of Ultramarines fans demonstrating outside of their headquarters to demand yet more Ultramarine releases. We had the sort of intro one for that, and then one that looks like it might be teasing Word Bearers. It's maybe not 100% clear exactly what they're going for, but it could be a Word Bearers release for 40k, maybe Lorgar or Erebus in there. Or you could have new editions of the Primarch miniatures for Heresy as well, maybe Lorgar or Guilliman there. In any case, they followed this up with a third hype video, which was a fairly straightforward one. It was called Ultramarines Protest Over, Agreement Reached. The video showed that the protesters had all gone home and said that Warhammer Studio had issued a statement to say that every release will be an Ultramarine release from now on. It looked like it swapped out the Word Bearers merch for the Ultramarine t-shirt as well. I'm not really too sure what to make of that. I'm sure we'll hear more in the future. I'm still going to guess it might well be building up to a reveal on Christmas Day, and maybe whatever they wind up revealing will have, say, the slain body of some Ultramarines on the base perhaps. It's been a fairly fun little teaser series so far, and their news ticker had a few good Easter eggs once again, a new plot armor save being proposed, 3-man Akaram formation squads being added to the Codex Astartes, and 13 now being designated the luckiest number given it's the Legion number of the Ultramarines. One thing that might be a potential teaser is the disappearance of the Corsair Voidscarred kit, which is off sale at the moment. This one's the Kill Team Corsair kit that's represented by 2 units in Warhammer 40k. It was on sale on the Warhammer Community web store, and now it isn't. It does seem to fit in with the now usual pattern of Games Workshop going through the kill teams that have been out for 3 years and basically taking them off active duty. We've had various ones of them phased out and gone away and not come back, though anything with the unique models so far have basically been reboxed into Warhammer 40k packaging. Though it is kind of interesting that the Voidscarred went off sale and then basically haven't come back, despite kits that came out around the same time or slightly after, already having returned in 40k packaging. It might be that they're being held back to re-release alongside a Corsair release wave if that is indeed happening. I guess it might make a lot of sense to have all the hyped things building up at the same time. From how they released, I believe that after the Corsairs came out, we had the Blooded Traitor Guardsmen versus the Phobos team, and the Traitor Guardsmen already got taken away and then came back repackaged. And then after that would be into the Gallowfall style ones. The Navy Breachers and the Kroot Farstalkers might be the next ones that get taken down from the kill team packaging and then re-released in 40k packaging, and they'll continue to cycle through the kill teams after that. The free miniature of the month this month is a Primaris Deathwatch veteran, which feels like a fairly strong offering compared with normal. These guys are really quite expensive to buy on a per model basis, basically around about $14 of plastic in theory land at least, almost £9 in the UK going by Games Workshop's translations. It does put them at one of the pricier, more valuable miniature offerings they've done, maybe the Deathwing Knight still being the single best one that they've had for this one. It wouldn't necessarily be super helpful for fielding any one Warhammer 40k unit with them, but does feel like a pretty fun offering if you want a painting project or potentially to convert certain characters. The one they had on the announcement was this Phobos one, though I'd bear in mind that you just get one miniature that you're given out of the box set, not necessarily this guy specifically, though I did see people saying that he'd be quite a nice one to convert into a combi weapon lieutenant potentially. I believe that these ones should be going out to Games Workshop's Warhammer stores over the past weekend, I think, and I'm sure they'll be fairly popular and it might have limited numbers. I'm not sure how many will still be present now, and as ever I'll probably check that they actually have stock of these before travelling too far out of your way to get there. They're not necessarily going to be guaranteed for everyone that turns up, and a few places around the world do have certain requirements, like assembling them in store. For 40k content in White Dwarf 518, they had some pretty interesting rules for a sort of battle through the ages feature. And I thought that this one was quite a fun idea. The idea was that you basically have a 10th edition rule set that can allow you to refight some of the previous 40k starter sets, potentially with some nostalgic models for people who preserved them. We could just use ones from current armies. The ones they featured were for 2nd edition, so Space Marines versus a great big horde of orcs. 3rd edition with the Dark Eldar versus Marines and the Landspeeder, and then this 4th edition one with the Battle for Macragge. The way it works is that each half of the box gets a basic rule set that's not really so very different from playing Combat Patrol, and then each of the box sets also has a basic mission with maybe a little bit of theming, fighting over 4 objectives in the midboard, and the 4th edition one has the chance to salvage some command points from this Rex shuttle. Then the actual armies themselves have sort of like a Combat Patrol rule set. You're just expected to use the data sheets from the codex without any changes and things. As an example, the 3rd edition Space Marines have a tactical squad that gets split into 2 units of 5. The Cabalite Warriors get 4 5s in this one. They both get slightly different objectives, making it a little easier for the Drukhari to score points. They have 2 listed enhancements, and these just go in regular units. The Landspeeder gets 2 return to reserve if it's near a board edge, and then each force gets a trio of different stratagems. The Marines have 4 back and shoot, and a defensive one for the Landspeeder. I guess not too many people are just going to have all the models ready to go for that, but some might have them to hand, or might have bought some of the previous ones when they did these made to order from time to time. And seems like quite a nice little fun addition as White Dwarf goes. There were a few Warhammer related computer game previews last week, and one of the more interesting reveals was a bit more about Dawn of War 4, which is coming sometime 2026 I believe. We'd had the reveal of that one fairly recently, the main factions being Space Marines, Orcs, Admech and Necrons, and the campaign will be playable from all their perspectives. They're returning to fight over Kronos in a game that's aiming to capture the spirit of the originals. The most interesting new thing that they revealed was that as well as the Blood Ravens taking to the fight in the name of the Emperor, the Dark Angels would also be present as well. And the story is going to feature both them and the Blood Ravens working together to overcome their many foes. It sounds like in some missions you'll be able to play as the Blood Ravens, some as the Dark Angels, and from their interviews it sort of sounded like you might be able to choose some of the time. The Dark Angels generally being a bit more focused on the bigger battles and mainline fighting, more so than the Blood Ravens being a bit sneakier apparently. They revealed a few units that would be going for them, including the Deathwing Terminators and Chaplain on Bike, and both of those are going to be named characters in the campaign. Though one of the most interesting things was that Lionel Johnson will be making an appearance. He featured briefly in the teaser trailer that they had going for it, though they did say that in the interviews he'd be more making a sort of cameo guest appearance. They said 2 cutscenes and 1 mission, which maybe isn't the worst idea in the world so as not to dominate the whole game. It also doesn't sound like there's initial plans to make him into the PvP version. Seems like another fun thing to add a bit of interest to the game though. Quite cool to see them exploring multiple different Space Marine chapters and not just one, and I'm certainly looking forward to giving the game a playthrough myself. As we know, we've got the balanced Dataslate coming out this week, probably Wednesday given their normal release patterns, though it could be otherwise. Maybe there's some small chance it could be Thursday if they want to have the next couple of days just for Grotmas detachments only. We already know that the last 2 Grotmas detachments will be Space Wolves and Emperor's Children. The detachment names leaked out earlier, though it doesn't really sound like there's been all that many leaks for the actual data slate itself. Sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't. I feel like for their normal digital updates, there's a bit more chance that something gets out than doesn't, but I've not seen too many rumours circulating this time around. 4 very unreliable things that have been repeated in a few different places. I did see a few people saying that there was a rumour about a +1 strength and +1 attack on the charge for the Emperor's Children detachment, which I suppose we'll be finding out about really quite soon indeed, and also some rumours for the Eldari getting a nerf to battle focus tokens of some kind. Again, I suppose that seems possible. I wouldn't be surprised if the Space Elves take a few hits with this one just due to being one of the stronger factions in the game currently, though hopefully they don't go too heavy on them. Probably not ones to focus on really, they could be entirely made up, though I thought they were interesting enough to talk about. Having something like a big charge bonus for the Emperor's Children certainly would have them hitting a lot harder. That feels like it'd be more of a buff than the Peerless Bladesman most of the time. Games Workshop's going to have a slightly quieter time over the next few weeks due to the Christmas period, and as a result it doesn't look like there's any pre-orders this weekend. Instead, some more Warhammer merch things taking the centre stage, and it seems that they're all very stylish. Squig merch clothing is just going directly on sale. These ones being some previous merch things that they've brought back apparently. At this stage, anything that they actually announced for pre-orders will be coming out sometime after Christmas. So if they did wind up announcing a pre-order for the Saturday the 20th, that'll be releasing and shipping out on the 3rd of January, and I really wouldn't be too surprised if they hold off until the 10th, at least for anything major. The main thing that we're expecting next for Warhammer 40k is 500 World Titus. Will be fun to see what that entails and any of the new rules added in with it. We do have other outstanding stuff that's been previewed as well with that big clutch of 40k characters. And we also have Heresy things outstanding as well, the big box with Cataphractii Terminators, and a few things for the Mechanicum as well. Finally, I'll just give one quick shout out to the two kits that are very cheap in the UK once again. £10 plus postage for either Acadian Command Squad or a Parasite of Mortrex. They're available by Combat Patrol magazines up for pre-order from Forbidden Planet right now. It feels unlikely that these kits are going to be any cheaper than this at any point in the future, so it might be of some use for Guard or Tyranid players in the UK if you haven't already picked them up. There'll be links down in the video description, and they do have a few other things as well, such as the field ordnance batteries divided between a couple of issues, and the same for the Goliath Rock Grinder. As ever, thanks to anyone buying things through them, it does help to support Allspec Tactics a little. I'll leave that there for now though. Let me know your thoughts as to made to order terrain, limited characters coming back, Lionel Johnson and more. I look forward to your takes in the comments as always. Thanks to Objective Markers for sponsoring this one. You can check out their faction specific ones linked down in the video description if you'd like to. They do have quite a lot of designs now if you want to give their store a look. If you'd like to see more like this, feel free to subscribe to Allspec Tactics. I certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming with new ones out just about every day. If you'd like to support the channel and keep the videos coming, Allspec Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked in the video description down below. Channel patrons get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next for the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link's down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.